Hey, it's Trooper Ben. We're going to talk about texting and driving here in the state of Kansas, so follow along. We need to lay some ground rules. The first rule is I'm talking about Kansas. I'm not talking about Arkansas or Alabama and all the crazy things they might be able to do there. We're talking Kansas. When it comes to texting and driving, the question is where? In the lanes of travel when stopped? Or when you're driving down the road? Now I'm gathering my information from Kansas State Statute 8-15,111. That's the state law that really governs what you can and can't do. Now be aware that city officers enforce city ordinances, and city ordinances at times are more restrictive than state statute. The city has said, hey, I don't care what city Kansas allows, this doesn't occur in our city. Okay, the first thing we need to address is what type of devices fall within our state statute of texting and driving. The answer to that is any wireless device that communicates between two or more parties wirelessly. Well, we think cell phones, but that could be a PDA. I don't know many people using PDAs these days, but certainly if you're still rocking that, you're pretty amazing. Any type of audio video players that has a wireless connection that can send messages, maybe an iPad. Maybe a laptop computer that has a wireless internet connection at any time. If you're using that to communicate while you're driving down the road, well, you're in violation of state statute. Well, now that we've got the topic of what type of devices, now the question is where can we use these type of devices? The answer is 8-15,111. Again, it tells us where the location is restricted, and that's in the lanes of travel. If you're traveling on a public roadway or a highway, moving or stopped at a traffic light or stop sign, you're not allowed to use those wireless type devices. Now there is an exemption in the state statute referencing using your voice to send a message. Now by doing that, you can simply use the example like this. Hey Siri, send a message to Mary.
What do you want to say to Mary?
Tell her I love her.
It says, tell her I love her. Send it?
Yes.
Done.
A wireless communication device does not include a device which is voice operated and which allows the user to send and receive a text-based communication without the use of either a hand, except to activate or deactivate a feature or function. You can say, hey Siri, or you can say, hey Google, or you can say, Alexa. All those different things to trigger the ability to send a written communication via your voice through your device. Or you can trigger on with using one hand to turn on that feature or function to start that automated service to be able to create a written communication and then send it, just as I did with my voice alone before. Now when I'm talking about triggering on a feature or function on your wireless device, well that also includes your steering wheel. In today's vehicles, we can do a lot of things with those vehicles by hitting a button, and it gives us a chance to prompt a voice message to send out to someone wirelessly. Now I'm going to take this moment to shamelessly ask you to give me a like and maybe even a follow, because it's burning up in this vehicle and it takes a lot to feed you some facts. Now we've got all these exemptions that I can list. There's actually 8 of them. I'm going to hold the first one to the very end because I think that's the one you're going to first think of when it comes to all these exemptions. The number 2 exemption is when you're stopped off the regular portion of the roadway. So that makes sense to me. If you're parked on the shoulder in a parking lot in a private drive, but not in the lanes of travel, we can do that on the shoulder. That's legit and that's okay. The third exemption is to read, select, or enter a phone number or name to make a phone call. If you're wanting to do that, you can do it with your phone by manipulating it while driving down the road. Now someone right now is going to say, wait a minute, time out, you're wrong. I can't do this type of stuff in my town. Well, that's because of city ordinances. Your city has further restricted what you can and can't do with your phone while you're driving around within their city limits. In those areas, such as Manhattan or Fort Riley and Junction City, just to name 3, they've further restricted the use of phones in their towns. In their towns, they don't want people having a phone to their face. They allow hands-free type of devices where you've got a Bluetooth or using the steering wheel to hit a button to talk through the audio system within your vehicle, but not a phone to your face while driving down the road. The fourth exemption, when you receive an emergency type traffic weather alert type message. I want to stress the word receive, meaning that you just get it unexpectedly. You're not seeking it out by typing and manipulating a wireless device to gain access to traffic and weather and alert type information, emergency information. You're just getting it. The fifth exemption, when a person receives a message for the purpose of navigation, if you get a prompt on your phone or wireless device that says, doo-doo, turn left, doo-doo, turn right, hey, stop ahead, all those things are allowed for you to be able to take in, read, and do as it's instructing. The sixth exemption, got to get that finger out of there. The sixth exemption is sending a message to law enforcement about illegal activity you happen to see. Today's world, you can text 911. So if you see something illegal taking place, you can actually whip out your phone and start messaging 911 a message that, hey, I see some illegal activity going on. That's okay now. The seventh exemption is to prevent imminent injury to person or property. So basically, you can send a wireless message while traveling down the road. If you see a crash, you can send that to dispatch via 911 with a text message, or the same thing, you see some damage to property or imminent damage to property, you can send a message to dispatch. I would think you'd be calling 911, but you can send a text if you'd like. The eighth exemption, I'm going to read this one directly from 8-15, 111, because it's long, it's wordy, and I want to make sure I get it correctly here. It basically says you can send a written communication with a wireless device in the lanes of travel if you are relaying information between transits or for-hire operator and the operator's dispatch, in which the device has to be permanently affixed to the motor vehicle. So, what's that mean? Well, the reality is what that is commercial motor vehicles. And we've got commercial motor vehicle semis that are being dispatched by their dispatch center to their over-the-road trucker or their operator. And basically they get a message on their laptop saying, here's the next pickup point. And the dispatch can tell them where to go and when. And our operators can see it, they can read it, and they can respond back with their wireless device saying they've got the message and they're en route. That's allowed. Now for that last exemption. I told you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Well, I held number 1. And number 1 is law enforcement and emergency service personnel acting in the scope and the duties of their job. I mean, it makes sense to me. Officers can go the wrong direction on one-way roads. They can go above the posted speed limit for the purpose of their jobs. First responders can respond and go through red lights. All those things are allowed for the purpose and tasks of their job. And in today's world, first responders have laptops. They're communicating with their dispatch center about what's going on and where to go, and to dispatch with a hotkey that they're en route. That's the way the world works. And lastly, if you could, what's another topic you'd like to hear about? I'm thinking about doing a video about riding in the bed of a pickup truck and where and when you can do those type of things. Or what about graduated driver's licenses here in the state of Kansas? When does a new licensed driver get their license, and what can they do with an instructional license or a farm permit? There's so many things in our law book. I just want to touch on the things that most interest you. Until next time, give me a follow and leave a comment. See you guys later.